Good. Okay, good morning. The work session for the Guam Power Authority. Today's date is November 22nd, and the time is about 8:35. For the record, the members present are Commissioner Limtiaco, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Martinez, and myself, Commissioner Santos. All right, Mr. John B., let's get going here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to go through issues for decision. They are five on the agenda. However, I want to table 2.3, which is on the FY 2022 market study.
Yes, okay.
We have some more work to do, and then we'll bring it up in the January, February timeframe.
Okay.
And then after the resolutions, I'll just go through quickly on generation capacity update, and then provide additional information to the commission. And of course, the GM report, if you care to go through it, is for the next week. So first of all, resolution 2024-05, and this is to request an increase in the expenditures for supply of diesel fuel oil for the GPA water system diesel generators. During this storm, according to Manuel, it's a very unusual expenditures for diesel because we were running all the standby generators for weeks at a time. So actually, this is to get your approval now for to what you call it, increase the contract from a total of 2 to 5 years of 2.14677 to now an anticipated cost of 3.296,277. The information, the breakdown, and all of that, the expenditures, the foreign and following pages, and in the resolution, giving you all the breakdown of the cost and the volumes consumed through the various periods of time. So that's the first resolution.
Any discussion, board members? Go ahead, anybody, before I go on to John on this one?
The workers, the ones that deliver on. My apologies. Again, FY 2024-05 is again to increase the diesel consumption budget for the water well system from 2.146077 to 3.296,277. As I was noting during the storm, consumption, the water system diesels have been running continuously, and after the storm, until we recover the main power. The breakdown of all the expenditures and everything is within the resolution, attached to the resolution. And more, this is the delivery part of the fuel oil. We pay them to deliver to the over 200 sites on the island where the water diesel generators are. So I'm open to question on that.
So this is only for the delivery.
Yeah.
I mean, you described a situation where the oil part of maintaining or getting these generators to produce energy was impacted by the storm. That's a different conversation. That's the fuel conversation. This is just to deliver the fuel to the various generators we have, right? That's what this particular procurement is for, just for the delivery of the fuel. So I'll make sure.
Sorry, Commissioner, it's actually fuel delivered.
Fuel delivered. That's what I was looking at. I wanted to make sure.
Fuel and delivery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, okay, so here, I guess, if it's fuel and delivery, so my question is this, John, you alluded to, or Jen, you alluded to, you know, it's $1 million increase, but you also, we've been using these additional generators during Marwar. Some of this was caused by Marwar. This is to the existing, this year's budget or next year's budget, or a
It's
little
for
bit of
the
both?
5 years, so we are just going into our second year.
Okay.
And the original, the estimates that we were using were based on previous years, which,
You mean utilization of the gen?
yeah, so the
Okay.
5-year contract was estimated based on previous years' consumptions, which did not include a typhoon.
Right.
So we've since used the budget approved for the term that was approved with the resolution. And we are increasing based on some assumptions going forward, including some of the utilization.
Maybe on Tuesday, can you at least summarize how much more fuel had to be used because of the typhoon, right? Because what you're explaining to me makes sense. In other words, there's two reasons we're increasing it. One, you're projecting fuel costs like we always do. Yes, there's actual delivery costs, but both John and you have said that the budget that we had approved previously in this 5-year contract was impacted this calendar year, fiscal year, because Marwar came and forced us to use generators, right? So,
I believe we do have the projections and the
Is
history.
this on
in the-
page,
or just.
I'll look at page
Okay.
7.
Okay. So was the actual usage in fiscal year 23 of 982,000? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Was
sir.
that higher than we had projected? Because
We
of
have
Marwar?
history, is the history on it? I'm sorry.
Otherwise, you can just summarize it Tuesday.
Okay, I'll look at it.
I'm
If it's
sort of
not in
believing you,
there,
I just want to get the
sorry.
math, I just want to get the math in my head, right?
Well, we do have historical expenses after that column, sir.
Historical,
Exhibit
what
A.
page?
What page, so that's page 6? Why did you put that up? Can we put it up so you can see it up there?
Page 6, sir. So first column, after.
Wait, time out.
6, okay, I'm on page 6, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're telling me that what I'm looking at, you don't have in your system?
It's in the resolution. If we go to, do we have the resolution on the screen? Is that that's the resolution?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, it's in board books.
Yeah.
So how can her system not be this system? No, guys, come on, please, don't, I hate this when you guys, we're talking to the public right now. We're seeing it, why are they not seeing it? So time out, you guys fix this and get it up where the public can see what we're talking about. We're under tremendous scrutiny right now and we can't even be transparent about what we're talking about?
We are being transparent. Everyone can
No,
have
sir,
this.
all due respect, Mr. John Beneventi, you're asking us to increase, okay, in a contract. The question I have is, how much did we go over budget for FY '23? And your increase now for FY '24 is how much? And then we're in a 5-year contract with these guys? We're in year 2 of a 5-year contract, correct?
Right.
And we agreed to what price in year 1?
The price is not changing, sir, it's the total volume
Okay,
that's changing.
so, and why do we expect the volume to increase unless you guys are planning another typhoon?
So a lot of the cost is increased because of the typhoon, and we
Correct.
are using some of the water system for some of the load shedding, which is not anticipated throughout the 5 years, but there's an average that we have here in the estimates that,
But the average got skewed because of the typhoon.
Yes.
Isn't that how you're factoring this in? So if you take out the typhoon consumption, what will be the average?
let me just
I'm
pull it up, sir.
you know.
We can calculate
remember,
that.
It's an anomaly that happened.
Yeah.
So if you take that out, is our average really gonna increase in years 2 to 5?
And again, this is the premium fee does not change for the
Correct.
3 years. It's 1.549. The MOPS price is the one that changed and is projected to increase.
And what is the MOPS average
That's
value?
the area. If you see in 23 is $2.305 per gallon.
And it's gonna go to 2.98.
That's correct. So again, it will be what it is. It's a projection of anticipated costs. So again, it'll be on the conservative side and all of that. But the FY 2023 budget again does show an increase of quantity of over 100. Let me see, about over 100,000
Gallons.
Yeah.
So
Gallons, yeah.
In page 7, John, in year 1, which is this past fiscal year, right?
Correct.
You said that we consumed 254,000 gallons, but how much of that is attributed to malware?
We can get that breakdown
then-
for you.
Because then you're decreasing it by almost 130,000 gallons for year 2, and then it says we're gonna consume the same in year 3.
Yep. We can provide that breakdown, Mr. Chair.
So, and then let's go back to the malware question. How much of that is gonna be reimbursed by FEMA for fuel? Or did we not claim it?
Claim use of the generators, sir.
So what about the fuel?
I don't believe fuel is claimed, but
It's the use and the run hours of the generator, which has a component of fuel. So as an operation and
It's
maintenance
not a,
cost.
it's not a different line item cost?
Not a separate cost is my understanding, and I'll verify with engineering.
That's good. So there's a FEMA formula that.
There's a formula for
what they can
O&M
claim?
of certain
Okay.
units,
Yeah.
yes.
And-
So that's not factored into this increase?
This is
Almost double.
specifically just for the volumes for the operation of the units.
But as the chair has said, what you're trying to say, if we could get the thing up there, is a significant portion of the increase from $180,000 to $980,000, from 40,000 gallons to 255,000 gallons in FY '23 was the Marwar impact. And so that's why we just want to see and understand that, right? So
and at the same time, we are updating the projections of what the fuel costs may be, so that we can.
Yeah, fuel
and
costs I
again,
understand, but
and that's a
but consumption
projection.
is, obviously, we would like to not use these generators as much as,
Yeah.
as backup and not as primary, but when Marwar hit, we turned everything on, right?
And also the expected price of the MOPS. that
So
we-
it
yeah,
is, the pricing is MOPS plus whatever delivery
Yeah,
component?
the difference.
That's the only thing that's fixed.
And is the projection in years 2 through 5, does it include the potential of going to this temporary power source for, the 40 megawatts, or is that something separate?
That's something separate.
Separate.
This is just
for the standby generators for the
my
water
generator
system?
from outages, or we run them for whatever reason. And in fact, we could expect that in the outer years, once the other the Okudo comes on the line, this cost will drop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other question?
No, I just wanted to ask, so none of these increase in this fuel is gonna be reimbursed by FEMA?
I believe we've claimed hours run on the water system generators, and that per FEMA has like a rate for reimbursement. It's not specific to parts or labor or fuel. It's a rate that can be recoverable, and I will verify that with engineering. That was something we were asking for, including for our fuel for our vehicles, and that was something that came back that they don't reimburse specifically on fuel, but on hours use and a rate component to that.
So we'll see more on Tuesday, more details. At least we understand why.
And who are they buying the fuel from?
I don't know, sir. We just deal with Morocco.
They don't get a deal because we get a deal? I mean, we have a great rate for diesel.
Yeah,
How does that
it's-
work?
I don't know, sir. When we go out for contract for fuel delivery, they just price us on the premium.
And they
That's
may,
what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah,
they
I think
may-
it's, I think it's
And
based
they-
on MOPS though. The
Yeah.
MOPS is kind of
and they may
like,
buy it from
universal price.
they may buy it from one of the big
They c- yeah.
entities that bring it in, Mobile, IP&E, and all of that. But it's
I don't know for sure, but I believe that MOPS rate is pretty standard amongst all the petroleum companies.
Yeah.
Whether it's Mobil or IP&E or 76. But if I understand it correctly, right, the bid and the procurement was based on MOPS plus whatever that delivery fee component was.
Very, very similar to ours.
So as MOPS goes up, we have to pay it. If it goes down, we benefit from it.
So the difference is the premium.
The difference is just
the
the
premium
delivery.
for all our contracts.
and that's fixed for the
Yeah, that's their
That's
firm
even how we
fixed
buy the
bid.
big fuel.
that's the delivery component of.
And you've made the determination that a rebid is not in the best interest?
No, this is already a contract.
You can extend the options, right?
Yeah,
That's
you can
what you're
extend
asking
the
us to do
options,
here
yes.
is to
That's right.
to utilize the, or
Yeah, because
exercise
again,
option.
even in the bid, I believe we only had one bidder, if I'm correct on this.
I believe
It's
this is the
typically
one
just
bidder.
Morocco that would deliver the fuel.
And the price, like I said, is not changing, it's the volume that's changing
Right.
the overall contract cost.
So here's the crazy question for me is, would it be more efficient for us to do this internally?
Well, of course, we'll have to gear up for it. We have to get, yeah, but, so,
That study?
we made that decision not to, just higher risk and all of those different things, but we could consider, look at it again, but, we don't, that would require hiring more people, buying tanker trucks and all of that.
I just wondered,
So, no, we haven't done that, we haven't had a latest analysis, so we can do that, yeah.
we're talking about 120 sites, correct?
About 220 sites.
Maybe take a peek at it.
Yep, we'll take a look.
Your next resolution is asking for new generators.
Yep,
So, yeah.
yep.
Wait till you see the resolution after that.
So the next question I have on that one is, we're only talking about how we're looking at alternate fuel source for the generators.
No,
Okay, so we'll get to that.
That's
later.
US EPA.
yeah, it has to be ultra low sulfur diesel,
No, I'm talking about
unless there's availability of
Fuel choices were limited.
biodiesel, but that's typically more expensive and all of that, so I don't see an alternate source of this.
Good question.
So you have your information for Tuesday's meeting. FEMA. No, the purpose of this, please, okay, if you're not reading the same newspaper I'm reading, everybody's radar is on us. Okay, if we're not gonna be transparent, I'll get up and walk out.
No,
Okay, all due respect, John,
Yeah.
again, when people ask me how, I said, all the information's available. Okay, the availability of the information is via a person that has access to the internet. I don't know how many people are watching, I don't care how many people are watching. But the point is, from 8:30 this morning to whatever time we end, somebody's watching us.
Or will watch us.
Or will watch us afterwards, or whatever the case
That's
may
what you're
be.
saying.
Oh,
with the media,
oh,
they
I
watch
want to
it,
say
they-
for the
Yeah.
record, Mr. Chair, is that there's no, everything we provide is transparent, is provided to yourself, provided to the media, they get a copy of all of this and all of that. Unfortunately, yes, we can take it a step further and provide information to anyone that
Correct.
asks for it, and also we'll put it up next time, But, so our apologies there, but as far as transparency, my gosh, we're one of the most transparent.
We are, John, I'm just
company.
telling you.
Yeah. So again, I
You go to
agree.
breakfast and,
I
you know,
agree, Mr. Chair. I
My
agree.
breakfast is, somebody
Yeah.
wants your job, I say, I don't care who takes my job.
I agree, Mr. Chair. I just,
I'm just making our lives easier,
yep,
because I don't like to be the subject of a morning conversation.
I agree.
Okay, so if we don't, I'm just telling you, put it up, we have the information.
Yeah, we will,
Let the public know what we're
we'll
doing.
we'll do a better job, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you. No
next.
worries. Next, FY 2024-06, again, relative to approval of the purchase of WSD, what is just called water system diesel generators. Again, we want to initiate a replacement program of the diesel generators, which are the backup power supply for the Guam Water Works, water wells, wastewater facilities, and water booster stations. The initial procurement of 104 generators includes 94 generators for priority sites identified in coordination with GWA, as well as 10 portable generators with trailers to serve as additional backup for other critical sites as needed. Most of the generators are over 29 years old, nearing end of life, which has become difficult to maintain their availability, reliability, and obtaining parts for. We were in the process to try and do this before around close to the pandemic time, but that threw us way off. We had understanding from our and reviewing all of this, our experiences, we've decided that we need to make an investment on the machines that we have. No, The estimated cost is 11.4 million, which is what I'm asking for. All right, estimate actually is 9.5 million, but I'm asking for a 20% contingency on this for a total of 11.5 million. Estimated lead time will vary over time because we're stratifying the type of generators and everything in hopes of trying at least to standardize certain sizes. And by standardizing all these sizes, we can get spare parts and disposable disposable or reusable or disposable materials necessary and stock that versus what we have, which is a whole mismatch of different generators at this time. The funding source is from our revenue. Again, we do. I think Mr. Kim has graciously identified that all of our insurance funding, there is some money there that we could utilize. All of the 125 million settlement, there's some money there that we could utilize for this scenario. Again, if you look, it really consists of about 2330 kW, and that fits about the 50 horsepower, 60 kilowatt, 7 each, 23 125, and then I think there's a typo there, kW, 1375, 316, 9 500. The 500 basically feeds your 150s. 800 kilowatt for your booster pump station, something like the Palgo Bay booster, and 1400 kilowatts. This is now for your treatment plants that has been, they do need to be replaced so that we can be able to maintain as well. And again, that listing is provided to you in Exhibit A. In addition to that, the backup is provided as Exhibit B, I believe here, Mr. Chair. And that is, again, a breakdown of just 3 types of generator, 300, 175, and 500 kilowatts. No? So again, the funding also could come from FEMA mitigation funds. No? Once we get we don't have the feedback yet on the mitigation fund, but certainly we have put this up there as a priority, and whatever money we get back, we're already shovel ready. We are moving forward to get this done one way or the other, whether we fund it or the money comes in, that will be another source of funding. But I think we do need to begin this, Mr. Chair, and this is why I'm asking the Commission to approve this so we can get the PUC approval and then move on.
Ms. Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, correct me if my understanding or memory is incorrect. So 29 years ago, there was the need for this, and so between GPA and the PUC, we created a rate that would allow GPA to go out. I don't know if we floated a bond or borrowed money, but we used that rate, right, to pay off that loan. And for the last 29 years, that's how we've had these backup generators. Now we're going to replace them. But I recall a conversation over the past year or so and earlier recently that said that surcharge doesn't exist on our bill anymore, right? It's just blended into part of the base rate, right? Or is that surcharge still there?
The surcharge is in the billing.
So in effect, I mean, I'm glad you're asking FEMA if they'll reimburse other people's money. We're all for that, right? But I just want to make sure at the end of the day, the revenue stream from that surcharge, which is still on ratepayers' bill, is a source of funding for this project, right? I mean, because that's how you bought them 29 years ago. It seems to me, from a business point of view, you use that same rate to buy them, but is there a chance to deal with that rate, reduce the rate? How do we interplay that with this
That rate
new
actually
request?
is not a restricted or strictly for the purpose of the standby generators. The record will show, I believe, that the GPA had a rate filing for so much. And the way they figured it out is that they say they'll do the surcharge, but it's really a total revenue for GPA and not this particular one. So throughout the years, yes, we've been utilizing it for doing generators, paying out debt service. And going back to your why did we begin to do this in 1992? 1992, whenever we had a typhoon, we had to run and disconnect customers all along the way so we can get to the water wells to.
No, I get the
Yeah,
rationale.
yeah.
And
No, no,
I'm glad
I'm just
we're-
explaining.
Yeah, I'm
And
glad
so,
we're refreshing. Yeah.
so we're at that point now where yes, we're continuing to move on.
We're gonna retire 29-year-old generators and buy new ones, because we'll always have a need for these types of generators to support the system, particularly at the water well. So that all makes sense. We have funding sources that don't require any change in the rates, in the base rate. So, that's good. And then you're also gonna see if FEMA can give you some money for this procurement. So, okay, I get it now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
JB, just as a, in context, the 94 additional generators, what percentage does that make up of the total that you're basically replacing?
So 94 all divided by 220.
Okay, so almost 50%, about 40%.
Yep. And then after that, we'll get to another series, maybe another
series
two,
of
2 years
replacing?
from now.
And this time around, is GPA going to maintain the generators, continue to maintain them, or is that part of the?
Right now,
so
we are looking at probably continuing maintaining it, especially now that we have less issues to maintain because they're new, right, and all of that. However, we can look at that consideration whether we contract it all out at that time also, because I am experiencing retirement also of key people. So our plan right now is actually to boost up bring in more people for the water system diesel.
Okay. The
So,
only reason why I ask
yeah.
is I remember during Mawar there was discussions about the ability for the units to to be immediately up and running, and I'm just wondering if you've thought about that.
Yeah, and part of that was parts availability and all of that. We were even having a hard time finding a particular fan belt which is not standard or couldn't be substituted much. So yes, and again, we'll continue to add personnel because that's always going to be the case no matter what, right? Because even if others do the work, we have to make sure that verify and confirm all of that. But we'll also make an analysis and come back to you later on that one. This is basically really to get the generators running, and even the installation will be coming back in a certain time.
And then what is the goal of GPA from a lead time perspective? Like, how quickly are we trying to do this so that barring any other catastrophes, that you're in a position to have the water wells or whatever up and running?
We're breaking it up, of course, to the different sizes. So some may be readily available. As soon as we can get them, we want to start installing them. And then there are some cases out there where it's not very many, but where we're going to have to put really longer storage tanks so that we don't have to have more recall running or from left to right, because I'm making sure that we have enough capacity for 7 to 10 days in these machines, which most of them do have, but there's still quite a few that don't have that capacity. So we're going to be making those changes also too. So yeah, it's we're hoping we get it as soon as possible, and that we are working with FEMA to make sure we understand what's in their inventory at this time, so that if anything is going to happen, we're going to get a hold of them quickly and see whether we can pull out some of those portables to the different areas.
Fuel source? Looking at
Fuel source?
propane or something else?
No. This will be
All diesel.
the old diesel.
That would be, propane would be even more of
More
a
expensive.
disastrous delivery impact.
Just know it's out there.
Because we had propane, and when Mawar hit, we couldn't get fuel.
Oh, in,
I mean, there's only a couple of companies that do it, and you know, those big tanks.
Yeah.
And so it's just like even more limited than diesel.
So we will have the capacity actually, and that's another thing we could consider, as you noted about the us delivering ourselves. We're going to be buying by the bulk the same fuel. So we'll compare that pricing that we're getting, and maybe we will deliver it. And there'll be now a transfer facility at the Ukudu site to make it easier. Everything now comes, I believe, down from the port. So that's another option that we can look at as we move forward to reduce costs.
So this RFP might be going out soon, then is what you're saying?
Yep. The other one you're talking about?
No,
This one? Yes, first I will need to go to PUC, right? And then after that, I want to pull it right out. I think our team is ready for this.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Commissioners? Okay, next.
Every year we have to file with the PUC by December 15 the LIEC for the 6-month period, in this case for February 1st through July 31st. And again, what we filed today is consistent with the protocol, which looks at what are the fuel cost projections anticipated over the next 6 months, and coupled with what we expect to consume and what and those other costs in the system. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Kim very shortly. However, fuel prices have risen, but more recently it's been coming down again. However, the protocol again looks at the projections, so therefore there will be an updated projection in January, as the PUC typically does. But our findings right now is showing that the LIEC, we're going to end up with the way, if it stays the way as projected, we're going to end up with about a $35 million under recovery ending January 31st. So we have made headway. At one point, we were close to
47 million.
Yeah, 10 million. Close to, and we decided to hold the rate. Unfortunately, it went the other way for world events again. So again, what you have before you is that for 100% recovery, you're talking about. John will show you the details, going up to as much as 29 cents a kilowatt hour from the 23 cents that's there today. However, as in the past, to mitigate to alleviate, not mitigate, but alleviate the impact on ratepayers, we're recommending that we look at a 50% recovery of the under recovery, because most important, that still provides us adequate cash to be able to buy the shipments of fuel moving forward. We don't need the whole in one time stuff. So that's why, again, you see, as always, a 50% recovery and a 100% recovery. And our recommendation will be 50%, which of course the proof is in the pudding. In January, the PUC will be provided updated numbers and they can make that decision. So John has a presentation on this. John?
We'll look at the fuel prices, if you could. Yeah, okay. So what we have is, our chart here is for the departures of RFO. So we have the blue line is the high sulfur and low sulfurs, and the orange line is the 0.2 RFOs. So back in last year, due to war in Ukraine, there was sudden spikes in the fuel price. When we made our adjustment back in June, we saw a decrease in the premium. Well, it was decreasing until October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel. They call it a war premium, so the price has gone up. This month price has been slowly going down. We'll see more in January how low it's gonna go. But right now it's still last purchase we just got the invoice last week was $150 per barrel for the 0.2 RFO.
What was the total purchase for that?
About $34 million.
So our current purchasing is running in the $35 million range.
Yes.
Based on current fuel prices. And John, I apologize, correct, either John. We're having to burn the most expensive fuel in order to meet the clean air requirements of US EPA.
Yes, that is correct.
Right, and so sometimes in the confusion, when you look at, you turn on CNBC or you listen to your favorite radio show and they're quoting, falling prices for oil, right? It's not a direct match sometimes because while the base cost of oil may be fluctuating and up and down as you're showing, right? We then have to refine it and remove 99.999% of the sulfur, right? What do we call it now? Ultra, super low, never breathing sulfur?
We call it 0.2%, which is almost nothing.
Yeah.
Sulfur versus we were burning 1.9 as low sulfur before and as much as over 2% to 3%.
So that's in effect a 99%, from 2 to 0.2 is essentially a 99% reduction in the sulfur content. But to refine base oil, to get all that sulfur out, raises the price. It's the refining price that's required to get the allowed fuel, to comply with the Clean Air Act. The amount of emissions we create have to be essentially sulfur-free, right, when you're down to this low. And to refine it that low, which is different than what used to be done for 9 million years here at GPA until the last 2 or 3 years, John, as we had to come into compliance. That's where we've agreed on the stipulated order for the new generator, for the renewables, and as part of the whole process of cleaning up our emissions. All right, we now are purchasing this fuel that has been reduced, that has had the sulfur content reduced 99.98%, right? Because it's 0.02%, right? And that's why it's not a direct match, is because of the requirements of the Clean Air Act require us to burn the lowest sulfur fuel content available.
Yes, and then we also had to convert PD 8 and 9 from RFO to ultra low
Now
sulfur
they're burning
diesel.
that more expensive
Yeah.
fuel.
And
And
this
we
all
buy
s-
all the fuel
yeah.
for all the generators.
And this all started, we had to be in compliance by December 31st of 2022 last year. So we're 1 year into it, and we're hoping it will be next year, we would have been into the Okudu power plant. So this is,
And then, just so I get it right, so the LEAC 15 months ago was 32 cents a kilowatt hour. Then it was reduced to 26 cents early. Normally it's reduced, normally it's February and August, but in June, we approved, and the PUC approved a reduction from 32 cents a kilowatt hour down to 23 cents a kilowatt hour. And we did it 2 months early, and that's the price that is on people's power bill now until February. But given the global circumstances and the impact of the war impact and all of that, based on the projections that we've been using constantly for 30+ years, very accurately, never missed an oil delivery, never missed an oil payment. Right? The projections say the cost of our very clean fuel is projected to rise enough between February and August of next year that the 23-cent per kilowatt hour LEAC now has to go up to 26%. And even that would still leave us under-recovered $20 million, right?
Yes.
But as we've shown, we've been able to absorb as much as $47 million to help our ratepayers and mitigate and reduce and spread out the LEAC impact, right, over time. The $47 million had to get repaid, that's why it jumped up to 32. Now we've knocked that number down significantly to the point that the new LEAC, we actually have $20 million that we can say, okay, we can absorb that internally from our cash flow. This is something that was never possible under the previous appointed boards, boards appointed and confirmed by the legislature. This was never possible. If it went up 2 million, the LEAC went up, right? And so now, because of the financial strength of GPA over the last 21 years, from an elected board, Which, by the way, it dawned on me today that we run two companies. 21 years ago, there were two boards, one for each company, right? But 5 citizens duly elected, working with management, right? We now are in a situation where, for the LEAC is gonna go up. This is your request to us next Tuesday for formal review and consideration, and then depending on what we do, you're gonna go to the PUC. But the current projection is to increase the LEAC from 23 cents a kilowatt hour to around 26 cents a kilowatt hour. And we will still front on behalf of the ratepayers about $20 million from our internal cash flow. And the impact, if I'm reading page 19 correctly, and you know, I'm seeing this on TV, but are these charts also on what people are watching? Yeah, because I'm only seeing that. Okay, perfect. Okay, as long as it's there. So is page 19? Can you put that up on YouTube to make sure the ratepayers see that right now, based on your recommendation for 50% recovery of the fuel costs and GPA fronting about $19 million to help our ratepayers, and the increase for the average ratepayer using 1,000 kilowatt hours is $33.18. Am I doing that right? Just want to make sure. Not my first LEAC. Right. Am I doing that right, Francis? I think so.
There it is.
Okay, no problem, just as long as it's available to the ratepayers, and, because ultimately, this is, okay, for the last however many years we've had a PUC, this is the most important piece of paper that goes to the LEAC, right? It explains the numbers, the under recovery, and the impact to the ratepayer, and this projected increase in the LEAC that you're recommending is about a 14.5% increase in the LEAC, which produces about a 10% increase in the average bill. For consumers that use, John Kim, is it 1,000 kilowatt hours?
On average, we looked at it as about 1,000.
1,000 kilowatt, which is the average use across all of our residential
Yes.
customers. It's a little bit higher for commercial, but 40 of our 50,000 customers, or 45 of our 50,000 customers are residential.
Yes.
Right, okay, all right, thank you. I just want to make sure we get there. Okay, that's the bad news.
And John, just to clarify the full recovery, if we chose to pursue the full recovery, that full recovery is estimated at being recovered on which date?
If you do full recovery, it would be as of
Next August 31.
August, yeah.
July 31.
July
So one
31.
full year is
No,
the-
remember.
No,
the-
6
The
months.
extra 6 months, so February 1 to July 31?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
Oh,
new
yeah,
LEAC
right,
is
February,
August to
start in
February.
February. So we recovered in 6 months, if we chose.
20 million of it, right? We'll still be short 20 million next August 1.
Yes.
And we'll go through this process again in June to project the
right.
next one.
And if oil prices are better, then maybe the under recovery is small.
So it's not full recovery?
That's not what they're recommending.
Yes. With
No,
50
I know what they're not recommending, but I'm asking the question on full recovery.
Yes.
Will the LEAC be fully recovered if we chose that route by August of next year?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
But it would be 29 cents.
50%,
Yes,
but
yeah. If it's,
full.
yeah,
No,
if the rate is 29 cents.
At 100% recovery
100% recovery.
in June.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the rate increase would go to 20% instead of 10%.
Yeah.
yes.
So that's our decision
Yep.
coming up to you. You're recommending that you can carry a $19 million under recovery and still pay $35 million 11 times a year for oil, right? And we can survive until next, as we've done. We did $47 million on behalf of ratepayers during COVID. And to spread it out, which is the whole idea of levelized energy adjustment, is to spread out the impact of rate changes, good or bad, but especially when they're bad, you want to spread it out to keep it lower, right? And that's what we've been doing since the PUC was created in 1988. As a result of another Senator Parkinson.
And again, it's, the 20 million under recovery does challenge us. That's why we have to collect, no? But we've done it and we could do it, right, John? You're confident?
Yes, it's a challenge, but we'll try to make it happen.
It's your recommendation, so you will make it happen.
So that's what I have. One more resolution, Mr. Chair, for your consideration, and the last one for today is again janitorial services for this building, T&D generation, and the satellite office in Eulalie. And again, this contract was put together in 2020. And so we're heading into the last year of the extension period. And so, and that would, the total now will bring the total requirement, contract cost to about 1.25978 for 5 years, and which is exceeds my $1 million limit, and that's why we're bringing it to the commission for your approval. We recommend to go ahead and extend it the last year. And then we'll be going out for a bid for the next, again, 3-year base plus 2-year options.
I'm just curious, our CCU limit for you, John, is 1 million?
Yes.
And the PUC limit is?
1.5.
We can change
Just try
that.
to tie that
Yeah,
together.
we can
so
check.
it doesn't waste our time.
I'm with you. Yeah. Just make it
Maybe
the same.
Can you, legal counsel, prepare that for us, and it's gotta be in the next meeting, to move and match whatever the PUC authority is for John. Because we can be making this decision about that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yours is 1.5 and Miguel's is 1, right? I think that's what it is.
No, I'm 1.
Oh, you're 1 and Miguel's 1.5?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
am-
Anyway, councils,
yeah.
that's what you
Get
need.
it clear for-
Yeah,
Gonna
clarify that.
standardize it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just standardize
And then we have to
it.
request the PUC.
Right.
Say, can
The
you,
PUC,
Yeah, because
so it's the same level. So it'll be a PUC petition, resolution for us to approve that, to John to petition the PUC.
typically if it's very different or whatever, I would bring it to you anyway. It's a matter of letting you know. No.
Which is good, which is good.
Oh, generation capacity.
GM report, let's go.
GM report,
I have lots of
Other
questions.
discussion, where is that?
I'm sorry, yes,
It's on
it's under
page
generation.
193 first.
Yeah.
Which one are we doing?
We're going to the generation report. If you go under
Oh,
discussion,
we're gonna skip, I'm on
Yeah.
page 32.
all the way to 193.
Oh,
You on that?
I apologize, I didn't have that
Let's
updated.
go to navigation, hold on.
I'm sorry, that was just updated this morning.
But can you just put it on the screen? I mean,
There you go.
no, I didn't, yeah.
You didn't update it?
You know, one of the challenges is when it's 7:45 and you're trying to make an 8:30 meeting and you get an email saying, I've just updated the report.
Okay.
Oh, no,
didn't
this
get a
will
chance
go
to
to the capacity. Yeah.
Not split screen?
No.
Cannot be navigating between.
Yep.
split screens. Yes.
Again, I put 2 graphs up here, Mr. Chair. Here's to update where we are today on November, through November 16. And again, that demand is, as you can see, is over 240, about 242. But as you can also see on the right side, October and November are still in a higher period, but look what happens in December. Despite all the Christmas lights and everything, the demand goes down because it's much cooler and we're air-conditioned load. And I'm sorry, I don't have my clicker, but if you look at the, again, January, February, and December, so our lowest period of demand. So that's good news as we move forward towards our capacity recovery, because we're recovering more capacity and the load is coming down. We've just been through or going through the most difficult period of time where the demand is the highest and our capacity is the lowest. So that's why we've been impacting a lot in the load shedding blues. I don't know whether it's blue anymore or yellow or red. I think it's probably red already. Next. So again, I've shown this before. When we lose one base load, as you can see, mostly in the evening hours, there's a chunk that we have to load shed, maybe 4, 5, 6 circuits at a time. When we lose 2 base load, now you're looking about 10, 12, or 14 circuits at a time. That's why the hourly becomes more frequent. It's almost every other hour. What happened last week when we lost another smaller unit right at peak time, then that really, the schedule just went to, very difficult to maintain, except that the dispatchers have to make their best decision as possible to make
How many
that.
total circuits again, John, do we have?
How many what?
Total circuits?
63, I believe.
Okay. So when only one gen, maybe it's 4 circuits. When 2 gens, it's 10 circuits. Not you, Jen. Generators. You're the good Jen. You're never a low shed as a person. You are as a
Four
customer.
circuits per hour,
Right, right,
and
right.
then again
And then,
10,
and then last Friday, you were
maybe-
load shedding how many circuits? 15,
maybe
20?
I don't know exactly, but you're talking
was
maybe about
significant.
16 or so.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
significant.
find out.
Okay.
But we actually starting to track this because we want to make a summary of it at the end. So again, today we're back to the right now less than 1 base load. We're waiting for PD. I'll give you an update at the end here. Next, I'm sorry. So what are we looking at in December? And again, this is actually starting right about now, towards the December. Cabras number 2 is on the line. It's about 29 megawatts now, and they're working up to, 31 megawatts. This day we'll bring her up to 35 slowly, because again, it seems every time we come up to 35, it has a boiler tube leak. So we're trying
Was
to
there
figure.
load shedding last night? Was any load?
Yes, there was from about 4:30 to about 8 o'clock.
How
There
many
was
circuits?
a few, about 3 or 4 circuit. What happened there is around 4:30, huge cloud cover came over the island, and what normally helps us, the solar, went from 47 down to about 3 very quickly. And then secondly, our interruptible load is timed to come on at 6 o'clock p.m. So there was that period of time that, we got hit. So again,
John, how many on your interruptible load program? How many megawatts is that helping you when it does come online?
About 10 megawatts now, plus the Navy. About 10 to 11 plus the Navy. I estimate around 16 megawatts.
16.
Total or
Total.
26?
Yeah. And the Navy comes on with interruptible also, plus putting on a generator. So we always ask them to, and then we schedule them. Of course, we have to, because they have to bring personnel to do all of this. So typically we need them at 6, and sometime if something happens like that at 4:30, we have
Yeah.
to do something.
But the impact on the solar side, solar production side, it seems like more recent, just like in the last couple of weeks. So, are you looking at bringing on the interruptible partners like earlier than 6, or are you still going to keep it at 6?
No, not right now. I think we're doing with the capacity coming on.
Yeah. With the Cabras 2
we could
online.
consider that if our load is really, like our capacity is really into we know we're going to load shed tonight, no?
Yeah.
We get them on earlier.
So-
But because they will stay as long as we have to, we pay them on a variable cost.
So, John, did I misunderstand? So, I thought last Friday when you had that major cloud cover at just the wrong time, I thought that was the first major loss of solar during the day. That for most of the crisis period that we're going through, the solar farms have been up producing, whatever the good Lord allows them to produce, but not dropping off, right? I mean, and we've got 85 megs plus the individuals have 35 megs. So we got 110 megs of solar on the grid. Are we frequently losing the solar farms during the day?
No, not really. This is just yesterday.
Or Friday?
Last Friday we lost MEC 8.
No, but did you also lose solar from the sudden cloud cover? Was that
No,
Friday
I think
or
it was
yesterday?
just. I think it was just yesterday, and unless there's one more or the day before. But
Yeah, I thought
other than that,
there were 2
no.
incidents.
The solar's been very
Has been.
uneven. It never really drops that much. But I think we got something from the weather station, and it's just a big, every just boom. And of course, if they come from the south or the east side, no, you're covering Talahofo
This is where
and
most of the farms are.
the farm. So both of them dropped substantially in one time.
Okay.
And that's where, again, more energy storage batteries would help. But right now, I mean, it's one or twice, it's not an issue for us. They're actually helping in the daytime, allowing us to bring down generators and make repairs and not having to load shed. So again, as we move forward here, as you can see, I'm estimating that we'll have about 273 megawatts of capacity in December, and our ACMO is hot of the press. I think she's listening and seeing this number here. You look at interruptible load, that's 289. The demand for December will be around 235 versus the 240 some. So that's at least 10 megawatts down. No? So therefore, we'll have a reserve of about 54. Again, this 235 is not every day, no? But in the peak of the month, you're gonna have 54 reserve. So if you lost one base load, you can still serve without interruption. If you lost, depending on what time you lose the other one, again, you do have some reserve. So again, this is the process over the next several months. We'll continue to build on the capacity, and most especially it's going to help us between now and February, and because really the load begins to start to climb around April, but May is when it really starts to take off. May, June, July, and stay up there all the way through October, November.
And John, the GIGO CT that is down, that's the one that's under protest, that's been stuck in the protest, right? Is that the
No,
one or
the Zigo CT is the one under repair with the shaft in Texas.
Oh, the one we sent to Texas. I'm
everything
sorry.
is
Yeah,
going.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Again, the difference there is again they had to buy new supply chain and stuff. So we're looking at that. They're trying to finish it before February. I'm even looking at whether I can air freight that thing here, or we're asking the military whether they can bring it in here, so I can get it installed as soon as possible. But again, that's 20 megawatts.
Okay.
No?
But the GIGO CT, that's the one that the newspaper is complaining that it hasn't been repaired by now. Even though we've had to fly off the shaft to Texas.
No,
right?
that's the Zigo CT is the one that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And in the editorial in the PDN, the complaint is that that generator damaged in Marmor should have been repaired by now, and you're explaining that that's physically impossible. I mean, they're not experts in it.
Took a month and I had to ship it there, and then now I'm
It
even
takes 3
looking
months to
about
ship
how
it there and
to
get it
air
back.
freight it back, and and if I can afford it.
So it's unfortunate that again, we know we got the challenges, but some of the solutions, it would be helpful if our media would check with the people actually fixing these things to confirm that when they say that generator damaged in Marmor should be online by now, that is not possible.
It's
for
not
reasons,
possible.
I mean, and I never knew they were experts.
They're putting us in the front of the line in a lot of the projects, understanding that we're load shedding, no? So
Yeah,
they're doing their best to try and get it to us.
Yeah, well, they need to tell the public the truth and not make stuff up.
The one under protest is this one, the Jigo diesels, no? We have about 9 to 10 right now, and that's 40 megawatts. If I can get by the protest, we can begin to make chunks of recovery. I'm gonna have to replace maybe 10 of those with newer units and all of that, but,
And that's under protest, and that, you're saying there's a potential for another 30 megawatts once we get them repaired?
yeah, I'm
Right?
counting.
And that's the one
I'm-
that's the one you're going to Senator Parkinson this afternoon for the
Yeah.
bill? to
I'm
speed up
working
the-
on at least 20 megawatt as soon as possible, no? Over the next few months. yeah.
If you get the okay from the legislature on Senator Parkinson's bill, where you and the PUC can make this decision, what's your ETA for restoring those 30 megawatts that you're?
I have in the last page.
Okay, yeah.
But again, we're gonna recover the Chico diesel, and then this is the other Caterpillar and Wachila unit. So this is the one that's at the topic of today. If I can get the authority to move, and again, we'll get the people that do this all the time. In fact, the Jigu PMC already has 3 bidders with their pricing already downstairs. So all we have to do, if I'm allowed to, is open up the bid, choose a contractor from that lowest bid, and then proceed with the repair, so.
And that's the purpose of today's hearing down the
that's
legislature. You have worked with Senator Parkinson.
Correct.
We actually developed the legislation, because when I read the article, it sounded like he had created it, but we actually did it he's worked with us on this issue at our request, and you're testifying this afternoon in support of that bill. And if that bill is passed, it will allow you to speed up the recovery of as much as 30 megawatts of generation.
It's about 20 megawatt, about 30 megawatts.
Right,
plus.
because it's not just GIGO. I saw the list in the bill. In the bill, it's like, actually it added up to like 46 megs, but I know that's the gross capacity in terms of available. You're saying, but there's around 30 megs that is sitting there waiting to be repaired, subject to a protest, yet again. And that's what you're hopeful that Senator Parkinson will be able to get passed at our request to speed up those repairs.
Correct. So again, the more it can speed up, then the reserves start going up. When this gets to the two largest is 88. If this goes over 88, that means we have 2 base loads can be down and we can still serve.
Yep.
So this is the process going forward. No? Next. So here's our plan of recovery of existing and adding new capacity. Cabos number 2 boiler, I'm happy to say, is on the line and is heading up to the 35 to 45 megawatt. 29 now, we're going to slowly bring her up, most especially over the holiday, which is Thanksgiving, so that we don't, push the machine. We want to make sure we have a nice holiday. PD7, sometime today, we're hoping that it's going to come on the line and serve. And the target is to bring it up to from 22 to 31, but again, we're going to stop at 25 and let it run through the weekend, and then we'll try and go up to 31, because why? Thanksgiving holiday, no? Again, the return to service of the Caterpillar units, this is where that will give us about 10 megawatts. Menenguan unit, that's another 5, that's 15. Repair of the Jigu, there's the 20. There's the CT, the here's the performance management contract, Jigu Diesel, the one that's in the bill also today, that's 25. So to answer your question there earlier, it's 25 plus 5, 30, plus 10, 40 more megawatts from the diesels, no?
Right. And then GIGO CT.
And then you add the 20 megawatts from the GQ 60, that's
So that's really
60.
the pathway out of load shedding, is to get these units back online, right?
And then this, again, we're doing a 2-prong attack. Go out for what you call it, temporary power, 40 megawatts, combination of 220 megawatt combustion turbines or diesels of various sizes. It's going to be the proponents that will come in. And again, it'd be good if we had the opportunity to say, okay, based on this and so, this is the best combination for the ratepayers. Let's go with that. But again, hopefully the bill, they will consider that in the bill that's there today. It doesn't include for temporary power. And, I'm asking, when they ask them to include it in today's meeting.
When will you
No.
select the vendors for the 40 megs?
Uh,
You've already put the bid out, right? You're
yeah.
just waiting for the...
First of all, this will be before the PUC next week, Thursday.
Perfect.
And if they approve this, then our plan, we're actually filing with them the bid specs also, because it's ready. And our plan is to push this out the following week, which is the first week of December. I want to open up the packages by the first week of January and try to make a recommendation for award, of course, to the CCU and PUC in January. And then we have about 100 days from there. So you have February, March, around April. So before the peak starts taking off. Now, I may be looking, it's a 3-year base plus 2 1-year base, but for sure, I know we'll need it for the next 2 years if, if we don't get all this other recovery done.
Yeah, because we may have created we may have added to some of the perceived misery of the load shedding. We say Ukudu's been delayed till 26 or late 25, right? So there's a perception that, wow, this load shedding we're going through is going to go on for the next 2 years. When in fact, and I think this is what we have to communicate to our ratepayers. This is the most important thing to them. How are we going to get out of load shedding? And we are actually targeting that in the next, if by May, and actually sooner when you do the earlier units, but when you get the 40 megs back on, for sure by May, that is your projected worst case outside timeline for completely eliminating the load shedding and being back to where we were pre-Marwar, with the return of all these units back online, repaired, protest resolved, new 40 megs, new purchase, right?
To be better than before malware.
Actually, you'll have even more.
Yeah.
When you combine this slide and the slide before about we have enough capacity when everything works to not have load shedding, but here's what's broken, and here's when they're coming back on. And when they come on back on as early as February, which will give significant relief, the February the upgrade and the GGO CT being back online, right? Which is another 20, and then you're buying another 40 that's going to be on in May. I think we need to communicate that very clearly to all the folks, all our ratepayers that are very concerned about the quality of the power, the amount of the energy, the load shedding that is occurring. And I think we need to talk about how we get this information out, especially before we're repealed. Right? At least you guys will still be here and fix those things, no matter who's the board.
That's correct. When we get to the point where we've done all of this, then we won't have issues going to.
Yeah. So we're months away. We're not 2 years away from ending load shedding.
No,
right?
when you talk about load shedding for 2 years, no, that's not
unacceptable.
Right. Even I don't want to live with the idea. No, so
Hey,
all these
John?
processes that we're going through. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
John, the nature of the PD7 repairs, though, can you go through that? We realize Cabris 2 is just the same issue over and over because of the age of the units, right? With the boiler tubes. But the PD7 repairs, how confident are we that those repairs are, longer term? What was done to get PD7 up or by today?
PD7 is you do regular preventive maintenance, but you also do the plenium, no? Being in a very corrosive environment. Had some leaks, so we had to go in there and make that repair because through the exhaust leak, you want this exhaust going straight up, 900 degree, but some of it is leaking into the compartment for the reduction gear, and therefore there's a trip, so it's tripping the units if you go. So we had to go tear it apart, put new plates, do all that, re-insulate. So that will last, no? No, and then they do other preventive maintenance and injectors, all the different things. So it's still, this machine is also on a regular basis. So many hours you have to do major overhauls. So we're not even there on some of these machines. This is just keep them running and all of that. Most of this now is going to happen really once remember we're rolling into April of next year. So most of this rehabilitation and upgrades of this other machine was going to happen after that, so that they are now up to speed for a much longer term. No? Mm-hmm. So what we're doing now is maintaining them, keep them running, repairing them as necessary, and doing that.
I'm just trying to get a feel for this plan. Outlines the backup side, right? Provided Cabris 2 and PD7 can stay online, really this is the backup plan in case they go down again.
Right.
But we know Cabris 2 is probably going to continue on until we decommission it with issues, but I'm just trying to get a feel for PD7. We don't anticipate that being as intermittent or as frequent as Cabris 2 going down.
Cabris 1 and 2, you're talking about miles of boiler tubes.
Yep.
And you're talking about 1800 degrees, 1800 PSI. What even the Tangisan boiler was 900 PSI, less susceptible to leaks. This is because it's a very efficient for its time steam machine, 1800 PSI, 1000 degree F. No, that's the steam. So outside it's a lot more. So, over long periods of time, then you're gonna have boiler tube leaks here and there. So that's why you have reserves to be able to take that machine down. And every time they go down, you're talking about 5 to 7 days, because you have to cool it down about a day and a half before you can get in. And then once you finish repair, then you have to hydro it, then start it up, and which takes maybe close to 15 hours to get it up to the steam pressure and temperature for you to roll your turbine and generate power. Not like the PD combustion turbine. Once you complete it, you start it right up, you're within half an hour, you're up to full speed, full capacity. Not like the PD 8 and 9, where if something go wrong, you could bring it down, fix it, in the next hour, you're up to full capacity. Cabers 1 and 2 is a very complex machine. That's been here for. It's just that it was rolling into retirement. So we're gonna try and see what else we can do to keep it rolling. And let me knock on wood first. But Cabers number 1 has been humming along. So we're trying to get number 2 to hum along too. But we need reserve, right? We can't just go in, fix it, get it up. So hopefully now as we get in here to the January, February, we're going to do some more work on both 1 and 2 to make sure that it tries to stay up.
And then, John, one last question, because I think people forget this too, and we'll talk about it in our outreach, but how much generation did we lose when Cabers 3 and 4 blew up in the accident?
79 megawatts.
So 80 megawatts was lost to an accidental explosion at Cabers, and it was ruled an accident by us, it was ruled an accident by our operator, and when the insurance company came, they ruled an accident, and they paid $120 million of a claim.
Yeah, 125 to us.
125 million, which we're using to help pay down the cost of Ukudu, right, of the new generator. But much of this began when 80 megawatts left the grid due to an accident, and that put pressure on everything that's left. Now you got everyone else having to carry the load and not getting the preventive maintenance that they normally would get, right? Because you couldn't afford to take them down. So it's an unfortunate series of events that has put us here. This hard work's going to get us out of here. But there needs to be a recognition by everyone, whether we were appointed or elected. No one could have stopped the accident. When did that occur? 7 years ago, 8?
2015.
So for the last 8 years, all these other generators have been picking up 80 megawatts a day of capacity to carry the load, and there were.
That's why we did bring in
Telling
the.
us that we didn't do anything. God said we approved a local plan.
And unlike my grandfather's school, it's actually under construction. And unlike all the new school repairs from an appointed board, it's actually under construction, right?
Again, we're labeled as a do-nothing board. Hallelujah to that.
Yeah. And is that hospital, have they started building that one?
It's gonna be,
Have they started building that with the appointed board?
It might be in,
Yeah. It's a race between my grandfather's school and the new hospital.
So again,
May they all rest in peace.
yeah, we'll be going out again. We keep reminding everyone that we're almost there. We have a plan.
You need to keep reminding everyone. We'll
Yes,
keep reminding
you're
them, but
correct.
you guys need to do this.
Yes, we're going to do that because again, our plan is Okudu plus renewables. Is going to bring our power down to be affordable. No more just 23 cents. We're looking now down
14,
at this
15.
level of fuel cost down to 14 cents for the LEAC. And
being
on a
built in
sustainable basis, meaning 1% escalated renewables, so that when oil goes this way, because we're using less of it, we're not going to go up to 29, 39. It may go from the 14 to 18, but it keeps it on a sustainable basis. So this,
none of this planning and implementation existed when we took office 21 years and inherited it from an appointed board.
and another thing, Mr. Chair, the legislature wanted us to achieve 50% renewables of renewables by 2035. Our target is 2030 to achieve, we'll be ahead of that, no? What is going to happen? Right now, we have a bid that we're evaluating, phase 4, that could bring over 200 megawatts. So what does that mean? That we will be, by 2028, about 40% or more.
Ahead of schedule.
Way ahead. So all we
Not
need
like
is
my
one more
grandfather's
bite at the apple, one more bit, and we're over the 50% in this decade ahead of our schedule. So we're achieving.
But you need to add one more piece, right? Why are we doing all of this? Because the biggest impact on the power bill is the amount of fuel we burn for what the people need and the cost of that fuel. And if we burn less fuel, the power bill will go down. Will Ukadu, and Ukadu is a much more efficient generator, the renewables don't burn fuel. Repeat it again for me, John. We burn 1.8 million barrels a year right now of oil, correct?
2.7.
I'm sorry, 2.7 million barrels a year.
So last year, last year before the renewable came on here. So now we're
Well,
about
now with the
2.5.
renewable, okay, but 2.7 before KEPCO's Manila plant came, 2.7. When Ukadu is finished and the other renewables that you've already bid out are in place, how many barrels of oil will we be burning in 2026?
Close to between 1.3 to 1.5.
So we will cut the amount of fuel we burn almost, at least in half, if not more.
Correct.
In half. And when we cut the amount of fuel in half, the power bill will go down significantly, and you'll have much more reliable systems providing that energy. That is the plan that Chairman Santos is alluding to that we've been working on. We have a plan, we've been working on it, and when I was here 21 years ago, none of this existed. None of this existed. No renewables, no plan to replace Cabris, no plan to deal with the higher cost of fuel that we have to burn because of the US EPA requirements. So what do? Let's burn less fuel. What a concept, right? We're about to cut the amount of fuel we use for energy by 50%. That's what we're working on. Of course, and we're an elected board, so maybe that's not good enough.
So again, we are working on other things, including trying to utilize the energy storage batteries to shift energy in the evening, the existing ones. So we're working on those. Interruptible load, as mentioned, 16 megawatts. Last but not least, I believe, next, yeah. We are continuing our campaign for conservation. How effective is it? I'm not sure. I hope everyone, will help each other and providing the schedule. So next, that's it, right?
Yeah, John, I
That's it.
do have a question though. For Tuesday's meeting, can we just quantify the total number of hours load shedded since Mawar?
Yes.
Because and I don't want to discount the fact that we're load shedding. Obviously, it has an impact on the entire community. But in my experience, although they put out a schedule, sometimes we don't have to do it, right? We notify the public that expect load shedding. Sometimes we're not impacted. At least our community, when I'm home, sometimes we don't get impacted. Sometimes it's less than the scheduled out, right? We're off 20 minutes as opposed to an hour. So I really want to make sure that the perception matches the reality of what we're actually load shedding. Because I think when we actually put the numbers together, total time, total circuits, it's going to paint a much different picture than what is being reported in the media. Yes, load shedding should not happen, but we want to make sure that we communicate how much time we've actually load shedded.
Yep. Yeah. We have that information in the works right now, so we'll have it for Tuesday.
And the other piece, and I'm so glad Commissioner Montero brought it up, but when you mention sometimes 4 circuits are shed, 14 circuits are shed, when it's really bad, 20 circuits are shed, okay? When only 4 circuits are shed out of 30, right? You're still going to get somebody in those 4 circuits saying, hey, I don't like GPA, my power's out. Without anyone, but the other 90%, 95% of the circuits that are on, no one's going to go on Facebook and say, hey, my power's on. They expect it to be on, and we're going to fix that, right? But sometimes the perception that the whole island is out or thousands of people are out of power for 2 hours, 1 hour, isn't accurate. So, but that's of our own making. We need to do a better job of explaining how the system works, how we got into it, how it works, and how we're gonna get out of it, which is the most important piece to ratepayers, except for the cost piece, which we now have discussed today, and on Tuesday, you're gonna ask us to approve an increase in the LEAC. And the way to reduce the LEAC is to finish Ukadu and to keep putting those renewables on. And then that power bill. And that's a plan that we have developed over the last 10 years with an elected CCU that didn't exist when you had an appointed one.
So, again, that's my conclusion, that's the conclusion of my presentation. I do want to bring up to the board's attention, of course, that you've probably seen it. There's two other bills out there, I think one on damage claim.
Yes.
And another one on, of course, abolishing the CCU.
Go back to an appointed board.
We have been requested for information on for the last 5 years how many damage claims that we have, and we're putting that together. We'll send it to Senator Parkinson. Just an overview for yourselves. We've had damage claims in SOP since 2001.
Yep.
And people have been filing damage claims as necessary. We'll go ahead and advertise it in a press release again to let the public know that it is there. Just of a magnitude of numbers, from August 2022 to November 21st, there's been less than 90
claims.
90 claims. When I estimate what might be an average total, because again, some claims are in different categories right now. Some have been paid out, some are being reviewed, and some are waiting documentation from the customer, and so on. So I think with all these 90 claims, the total will be around 100K in terms of which is which is again higher than normal because of the typhoon, and claims are being put in for the typhoon. Although again, damage claims due to the typhoon is not a part of the law that allows us to do that. But so again, we have that information, and there's also something that was said about $11 million
where did Senator Parkinson get
budget
this $11
for
million?
damage claim. I'm not sure where that come out, whether it's taken out of context. When you say 11 million to me, at one point in time, if you recall, we had 20 million for self-insurance. We took 10 million of that and we put it in the LEAC to help under recovery, to help the customers, the ratepayers, all that money. So that left around 10 million, which John, again, triggered the recovery of that. So it went up to about 11 million. So maybe the question is, how do we...
So he doesn't understand that self-insurance fund isn't, actually, it's not really to pay claims. In fact, and when I cheated, so I saw some data from John that he's alluding to. Please present it Tuesday to the community and to the commission. But the number of, first off, we do pay claims, right? The number of claims we deny, 5% of all the claims that have been filed. Only 5% are denied.
More importantly, why did we deny it?
Well, I mean, we can get that, but first off, the perception that we don't pay claims is incorrect. The perception that we deny claims, we don't deny 95% of the claims. We have been paying claims, and I'm like John. When you see the data Tuesday, we're surprised we're not getting more claims from Marwar. Only 5% of the claims in the last year have come from Marwar. If you have been damaged by load shedding, file a claim. You'll see postings on our own Facebook complaining about how long they have to wait, some of our customer service, and you'll see some compliments, right? So that's something, Tracy, and your team, you guys look at how do we improve the process and the interface with the customer. But the numbers will show on Tuesday when you present it that we have very few claims, we deny very few claims, and if you go through the process, we will pay out your claim.
Yeah, I do want to note though that typhoon-related claims is really not paid all by the damage claim. It's a force majeure scenario on everybody.
Well, document that.
yeah.
But what I saw, denied claims
It's
was
in
only
the,
5%.
it's in the regulation and all of that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion then. Thank you, John. That, we move for adjournment.
Yep.
There's no objection.
The rest of it Tuesday. The rest of it Tuesday.
You all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hang in there.
My favorite lawyers.